Oh, hello again, and welcome to another tutorial. And this time I will continue with this old non-AI Nikkor-N Auto 2.8 and 24 millimeter. And I will show you how it could be possible to actually fix the sticky focus ring if there was some, or a stiff focus system. We need some tools, a compass, or you could use a lens spinner that you can buy on the internet. This is an old compass which I have filed and grind the tip so it can be used to repair cameras and lenses and maybe other stuff. The absolutely famous rubber tool from Japan Hobby Tool, which is simply just so good. And I will use grade 10 grease, also from Japan Hobby Tool, to actually lube the helicoils, because there are more than one. I'll show you sooner. Some dentist tool can also be very handy. This is a Danish brand called Zenit, and is really good quality. Maybe you can buy some old stuff from your dentist. Some flat head screwdrivers will also be very handy. Here is a 2 millimeter and a 1.2 millimeter is also very useful in this case. Some brushes, one for cleaning the helicoid and one for actually add the new lube to the helicoils. Some tweezers can be very handy, as a very pointy one, like this one, non-magnetic, which is really good, and another one with a angled shape, so can be useful. Some tweezer, not some cotton buds is also very handy, and together with some nail polish, which could be a problem, maybe. It can also be a problem in some Nikon lenses with the very tight screws that can be difficult to unscrew. So in this way, the nail polish remover with acetone is very good. I haven't tried like many others. They said they use rubbing alcohol. Well, I have actually tried, but I think this one just works much better. A lens blower is also very handy, and in this case it's also very good to have a measure caliber tool, because we need to actually know how long will the focusing, how will the actual lens focusing system be, both inside the back internal and the more outer focusing ring and the helicoils inside here. We simply know to know how long is the distance before we disassemble, so we have a kind of a good check when reassemble. That's important. Remember, there's no repair manual for those old lenses. There maybe are, I haven't found any. So let's jump into it and have some 2-3 hours, maybe a little less, to fix this problem. We need to go into it and off with the back cap, and we'll simply begin to take out the inner lens assembly by simply unscrew the name ring, the front ring here, the yeah, the side of, I mean, top of the focusing ring. I don't know the name of the plate and the ring. So, well, and we also need to take off the mount, the aperture ring, the shiny metal ring here with the index mark. Of course, we need to disassemble that, but we'll begin with the little set screw here on the side of the focusing ring. It should be, maybe it is so in your lens, but here it is where the lens made in Japan is. So it could be the same as your lens. Now, unscrew with a 1.2 millimeter flathead screwdriver. Just loosen it. There's no need for fully unscrew it and then it will disappear somewhere. Not really good. And for taking off this ring here, it can be a little tricky because I cannot use the cones here. So, like in the other videos about this lens, I will use some sticky gloves, garden gloves, working gloves, or whatever. But the rubber is really good for working with lenses. Because then you could have a good grip and hopefully unscrew it. So it is off with that. And now we actually come into the parts here, which we can see closer. It could be, I mean, when you look at the side here on the front ring here, there is a tiny hole that could be a little set screw, but it isn't. In my lens there wasn't any, but it looks like there maybe have been some, well, maybe years ago. I don't know. Just put in the little screw so it will not disappear. But this one, it simply move the place up to under the nameplate. So that's why I will use a rubber cone here. Sorry. It will be the number 4, which you can see on the side here, and simply unscrew it. It can maybe sit a little sticky, but here it's actually kind of easy to unscrew. So we simply take out the nameplate and that's it. Now here we see the set screw that hold the name ring and also lock the lens assembly into place. So I have set a mark here where it should sit, but I found out it's not really a problem, because since you have everything in place, this screw will sit at the correct place when you screw it in. There's no problem with that. I found out after that. But simply unscrew this, loosen it, yeah? Loosen the set screw and then it should be possible to unscrew this counterclockwise. And with the sticky gloves, it should be quite easy to unscrew it. Remember, let's hold a little. We set it on pause because we will need to actually take off the mount before take off the nameplate. So we just have a loosen it, and then take off the 5 screws here around the mount, and then the aperture ring, which will be held in place by 1 screw on the side. So yep, just need to have a glove off. So there. It is a little tight, and the screws here are non-magnetic, so they will not be useful with a magnetic screwdriver, just like this one. But it doesn't matter. So, and the last one. So, and then off with all those screws, put them aside so you know where they are. I'm not quite sure if you can buy new screws or you could maybe use other screws from older lenses. Now, set the aperture ring and the focusing ring to infinity. The aperture ring, yeah, it could be set where you want it, but yeah, it's not a problem. But the focusing ring, we have a starting point there. So off with the mount. The fork here on the back is connected to the pin down here. You probably can see there. So when moving the pin here that is connected to the aperture system in the camera, we will also move this part here and the aperture as described in the other video. So now we have a look into the part of the focusing system. It's the back lens group that's actually moving together with the front. It's a system called CRC. It will say close range correction. That actually Nikon invented something like in 1967 or so, which will give you the best image quality even if you are at close range, like something just like this lens. It's used in many wide angle and super wide angle lenses, but also in many newer lenses. It's also called a floating element and it makes the size of the lens smaller compared to, I mean, as I see it, it will make the design smaller, so, and really effective. So let's get off the just set to infinity here, so you see, and off with the aperture ring. It's a pretty long screw, so out with that. And there is a small fork down here, there. This is the pin and the fork connected to the from the from the aperture ring into the internal movement of the aperture system. So off with that. And then we have a naked lenses. Take care of the back lens. It's fully exposed. So now we can actually take off the front ring here. Just simply unscrew it. So take care of the set screw, this one. You will not miss it. I mean, it shouldn't come away when you assemble it again. So now we actually are into the and are ready to take out the full lens assembly and simply just push on the back here. But before doing so, because we have to do something that is really important. You see, the focusing ring, which is connected to the back helicoil here, this fork here, it's important, I mean really important, to set a mark here on the back. But it's also important to set a mark here, somewhere in here, so the two marks are in line before you take it apart. So we can just set on infinity and then pop the lens assembly out. So that's it. Now the important thing is, as I also described in the other video, we have a mark here where the starting point at infinity is. So, and since this is a helicoil, as you can see, it will move in and out when I turn the back helicoil. So I need to set a mark where it comes off the thread, and it's a very tight fit, so you really have to be careful to set a mark where this back lens group come off the thread. So, well, I know it will come off at 1 1/4 turn till it gets off. So if I turn it, I have my starting mark here, and I turn it 1 turn, see my mark again, and then I will continue. So I set a mark here when it comes off, and there it is. So if you just take it off by not setting a mark, the starting point could be somewhere over here, maybe, or if you lost the thread where it should be, you will probably miss the correct setting of the helicoil. So it will not be possible to actually have the infinity or near end as correct. I will not take out the lens element. I will just use a cotton bud with some isopropyl alcohol and simply clean the helicoil in here. And exactly the same here on the back, because I don't need to take out the lens element. That's not really necessary. As you can see, there are not much loop here on the threads. So and as I mentioned earlier, we should actually measure how long should it be. So I'll just put it on again. It can be a little tricky because it's very, very precise made. So my starting point, as I simply forgot to mention, is when it's at correct infinity. I will use my measure thingy here and simply measure from the point here until the very end of the back lens group. It will say here to there. So if I put my measure tool here, it will say 29.93 millimeter. It should be the exact same when I assemble the lens again. So it is. So I will simply just unscrew this. It will say 1 and a bit more than a quarter, and it comes off. So it is. I will just wait a little. I need some isopropyl alcohol. Just in a small bowl, so I can I will go outside and clean the rest of it when I disassemble the focus, the front, I mean the main focusing, the outer focusing system. So here I will just use a cotton bud and some isopropyl alcohol to simply clean the helicoils here. It's not that much we need to do. Just a lot of cotton buds. I mean, some can use lighter fluid, but sometimes I use lighter fluid, sometimes I use isopropyl alcohol. So, and it looks pretty good. Just wipe away the rest. So, and it looks fine. So away with that and do some of the outer helicoid on the back here. It's not really much we need to do because there's not much lube on this. This is simply just, instead of fully disassemble it, this is a bit easier to do it in that way. Take care of not use too much around this area with the holes for the aperture, since you will have a lot of isopropyl alcohol on the blades, which I just clean. So there is actually, yeah, it's pretty good for that. Now, and then I will continue with the disassemble the focusing ring and this system. There's also one thing to mention. There is a brass ring here, which I thought was actually coming out, but it doesn't seem to come out. So, oh, it does. Yeah, it's here. I know there was something that needs to come out. So now we have a naked, almost naked focusing system. So we continue by simply unscrew the front. It will say the 3 screws here, there, and there. And yeah, I haven't been into that system before, so that's why I just take it as a little step. But before doing so, I went so long for that, so we need to set a mark here. It will say here, it's where the index mark is, and the notch here for the little not screw but adjustment thingy. So this is my starting point to find out, okay, this is where I begin. So I have to end it up with the marks here sit at the same place when I assemble it. So unscrew the 3 screws here. And this one, there's a lot of dirt in here. This may be the same in your lens, could be. So, and this one. Take care of when the, I think it must be so, take care of the focusing ring and not moving things. Because we need to set some marks in here before disassemble any more things. So now it should be possible, my index mark is in line, and then it should be possible to lift up the focusing ring. Yeah, it is. So, there. I thought it was a ring, but it's simply just the focusing ring that is made that way. Now, since we are in here and have set a mark here, it should be in line with the index mark, just so we know it. And let's see what's actually going on here. So if I move the ring, I will end it up the same place. So what I could do is actually just to have a mark here. I could simply set a mark here where the index mark is, and also there. So now I know where it is, and then I can actually measure how long is the focusing system when it's set to infinity. And this lens, it will be 37.14. So off with that, and then write it down. Focus at infinity is 37.14 millimeter. So now I actually can just continue, and by taking off the 3 screws of the shiny ring here, and I know where my index mark is, I know where my marks I set is, so I can simply just unscrew the 3 screws that hold that in place. Tiny. And off those there. They're really, really small. And then off This is the last one. So now I can actually take off this shiny ring, and it should come off towards the front. So off with that. It looks like this. And then we actually looking into something in here. So let's see how we actually can continue to go into it. Some points here. Okay, I see. I need to unscrew this plate in here. That is the locking pin that prevent the inner focusing ring, helicoil from moving when moving the outer, the actual focusing ring. So the 3 screws here on the back need to be unscrewed. Before doing so, I will again set a mark here on the side. It will say there, and of course on the other side too. Because then I know exactly where it should sit. And one could actually also set a mark here. Just so you know where things are correct. So now set the focusing ring there, and then it should be possible to unscrew the 3 screws and then unscrew the inner helicoil, and then next unscrew the focusing ring so I can come into the outer helicoil. Oh, hold on. So we continue. just need to change the battery in my camera. Now I will unscrew the 3 screws in here and simply take out the helicoil here. I think it must be so. Yeah, let's see. And it's really tight. So small screws. So there, it's good with a magnetized screwdriver. So, and then the last screw. Now check all the marks are in line, and then it should be there. Unscrew it. And now it's free. So I don't know if we can just take it out here. Okay, it's possible. Now we also need to know which direction it sits. So therefore, just to be sure, this is just set a mark. I will just set an X here because there's nothing on the back, just to have a reference that it should sit that way. And now then it should be actually possible to move the helicoil here, and I think no. Okay, well, I will I will simply unscrew the focusing helicoil first, and let's see how many turns there should be. We could also, before doing so, and then just to be safe, how long is the focusing ring to the back at infinity. Let's see. From focus ring till back, and there should be something like with the marks set in line here. Then we measure how long will it be, and it will be 30.5445 or something. And it is at infinity. So that's a good thing. And then it's I will just unscrew it. So let's count how many turns will it be from there to, okay, what's going on in here? Is there anything I miss? Don't think. Let's start over. Is it possible to unscrew the inner first? No, it isn't. There is a kind of a stop somewhere. And how is that put together? Well, I can see there are some small set screws here. There, there, and there. So how do they actually is put together? And also, can I? Okay, I think I can unscrew the focusing helicoil ring out. So it will be 1 and 2, and let's see when it will come off the thread. 2, 3. I have my mark here, and then oh, it comes off there. So it will be something like over here. When will it? Just try to do so, and then it should say click. Not easy. And who said it should be that? It can sometimes be a challenge to try to actually put the helicoils together. But since I have my reference point, I should end up the same place no matter what I do. Okay, yeah. So the tight fit is really a problem. I mean, it can be a problem. No, it's not correct there. Okay, hold on. Okay, well, just have to fiddle a little with it, and I found out it was actually a bit more than 3 turns. So I will set a mark here. It's actually pretty close to my starting point here at infinity. So just so, and then it is actually off. So this is how it looks. And then to get the inner helicoil unscrewed, as I see it needs to be, there's my starting, I mean there is a stop somewhere. So maybe, I don't know yet, maybe this one needs to be unscrewed, because then there are some screws here. No, I see. Okay, haven't seen it. This small plate needs to come out, because then I can unscrew the inner helicoil. I didn't realize it before, so but it's not a big problem, since this one should just start there at my infinity point at this notch. So the only thing I need to do is unscrew this plate, and in this case I could also just measure the inner helicoil and see how long is it. So measure something like here. How long is it? 6.47. At infinity. It could be different in your lens, so because they are, it looks like they are the same, but there are some differences. So now unscrew this, and did we count how many turns? Yeah, that was actually 3 turns till off. Turn till off. So how many turns will the inner? That's actually some of the details you really need to write down when you're working with those lenses. So now we can take this plate out and just, where's my tool? Here. Set a mark here where it sits, and on the other side just in case of something. And it should be front. Just set a little F. You probably can see there. So I put a little arrow, mark a little arrow towards the front, so I know where it should sit, which direction. So now out with this plate. Probably need another screwdriver. It's a 1.8 millimeter, which is maybe better for this case. Then unscrew this tiny screw. But before doing so, I will just head back to my start here. Well, it's not really necessary. I just have it there. So, out with that plate. Oh, I'm here, little fellow. E. So, now we need to count how many turns. So I have my starting point here at infinity, and I will simply unscrew it counterclockwise. How many turns? It will say 1, 2, and slowly 3. When will it come off? It will say 3 and something. Here's my point, and it will come off over here. So, and then set off. So that's correct. So when putting it on again, we need to fiddle a little, click. So we have there, and then 3 turns. 1, 2, 3, and then we can measure how long is. Should be something 6.47. And wow, it is. It's the exact same. So that's good. Then I can just unscrew it and clean it, so I know exactly where things are. Just do it again. So, and then 1, 2, 3, and a bit more over to here, and off it comes. So this is how it looks. It's not really necessary to take this fork off, because, well, no need for that. So now it's time to cleaning. So I will go into my kitchen and where there is a ventilation, and clean the helicoils. So see you sooner. And now we continue after the cleaning process, which I have cleaned some of the part, the aperture ring, focus ring, the inner helicoil, the index mark ring, the focusing ring, and the outer helicoil. So it looks pretty okay. So now I will just loop with some amount of grade 10 from Japan Hopper tool. And I think it should be fine. It could be a little too thin, maybe. It could be a test or something, but I really like the that is not too thick. So let's head off for making some loop. Oh, there was just a tiny hair. We do not need that. So just add something in here on the outer helicoil. We do not need so much of this stuff. Oh, that was a little too much, but let's see how it will go. And then take this helicoil and find the starting point and the off point, which will be almost the same. So I should end up with something that is almost the same. And was a little tricky to put on, and it can be so now and then. So one have to actually fiddle a little to get the right thread. Oh yeah. And it's 1, 2, and 3. So it's on the right track, and we can just try to see if it is correct. It should be something like, yeah. So we ended up at the same place, at the same starting point and end point. So that's fine. So the next thing is that I could just clean the inner helicoil. I mean, not clean, but lube. Sorry. It doesn't have to be that much, maybe. And then if you add a little, you just give it some movement, and that should be fine. To spread the grease on the helicoil. So where is my point? There. And my off point was down here. My starting point, it will say the infinity mark here, and my off point for this inner helicoil should be something like here. So fiddle a little with the helicoil, and it should be there. And then we need to to actually catch the same 1, 2, and let's see, since I have measured 6.47, well, I'm not there yet, so we need another turn, something like that, and then measure how long should it be. Should be something like there. Well, 6.48. Well, it should be in that area. So it's fine. And then just give it some good movement to spread the grease, and then we just need to put on the plate. So for that I need to go a little back. It will say half a turn should be enough, because then it will be easier to put in the plate here. It's a bit dirty, but it doesn't really matter. So now put in this plate. Maybe it needs, oh, see, the end point is here, so the plate needs to be put on here. That's why I set the 2 marks, so I know where it should be, not to get confused of anything. So it sits there, and a tiny screw goes in here. So, and then we need my 1.8 millimeter screwdriver. Oh gosh, it's a magnetized screwdriver. Okay, here we go. There. And the other one. And then I can put in the lock pin, and then I'm safe home. So there, and just tighten it gently. It's aluminium. I mean, the in here is aluminium. So now I can go back to my starting point here, and so it is there. Wow, it's really buttery. So that's fine. And now I can put in the key here and actually screw it into the inner helicoil. So let's see, how long is it actually. It should be something in all 37.14. And is it that area? See there. Oh, needs to be moved a little. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it is where it should be. So that's really good. So in with the key, and since I set a mark here, a small X, I know it should sit correct. So simply put in this key here, there, and add 3 long screws. I mean long, they're tiny but still very long. So there, and it's luckily magnetic, so I can move it a little. Yeah. So just put in and this one here. And the last one. So now we are actually safe on track because of the helicoils cannot come off because of the lock pin here. There. So now we are safe. And how should it go actually? Wow. It feels like new. I mean, the lenses, yeah, since 1967. And now it's back on track to be used to take photos with. Wow. That's really good. So now I know what I need to put in. This ring here, the index mark ring, comes in, and it can only sit in one position. So there, and some really tiny screws. There. Oh. There. And since it's magnetized, it should be a lot easier to just put in the rest of the screws and then catch the thread. Okay. And gently tighten them. No, you do not need to put a hard pressure on the screws. And since it's aluminium, they will sit good. So now we're actually here. And then I need to, let's see, so actually I could add the focusing ring itself. And it's infinity, and I need to find infinity here. And since I have a mark here on the inside of the focusing ring that sits in line with the mark here, I know where it should sit when it's correct. Need a 2mm screwdriver, then put the things so almost safe home. And the only helicoil I need to actually loop is the back for the back lens group. So, and then there. don't tighten it yet because we need to align it so it's correct. Should be there. Really fine. So there. So, wow, feels like new. Yeah, what to do then? We need to put in the, I can see there's a little too much of grease in here, so I will just wipe away some of it. There's no need for being too much. Then take away the rest here. And it's fine. So now I can add the aperture ring. So I need to have the fork here for the aperture that needs to be aligned correct. So you see the notch here. This is where the little screw that sits here going through. But I will also add a little loop on the aperture ring, especially on the small notches here where they click is. And then give it some movement around here. Wow. It really feels like new. So I just need to put in the screw for that and catch the hole here and on the back to the screw here. This one needs to come in, then catch the, can be a little tricky. So there. So you can see the screw here will come out here and lock the ring here. Is it correct or not? It needs to be moved a little, so there. And then it's actually correct. Wow, and the click is very good. I mean, not too noisy, but so I can hear it. That's great. So now we need to actually loop the back helicoid. So and then I need to loop the back here. And where is my brush? Somewhere here. And it will just be a tiny amount of loop on this helicoil. Doesn't have to be much. And then spread it around. Well, I maybe could have taken off the lens here, but nah. So this system with the CRC system is the same as the newer AIS 24mm. It will be the exact same thing. So now I have my mark here on the back lens group. I have my mark here on the lens assembly where the helicoil comes off. So I'll try to catch it again. And since it's really tight fit, it can be a little tricky. Then there. And I go up to my starting point. It will say a quarter. I mean, a little more than a quarter from the off point up to my starting point. And then a full turn. And then we are here. And it should be something like 29.93. So let's measure how good it will exactly again. Oh, the other way. So, and we are there. Well, it's actually 29.90 0.92, 93. It's I mean, it's not a big problem. So we are safe home again. And then give it some movement. Wow, it's really great. So that's fine for now. The only thing I need to do is put on this brass ring into the focus system, and then actually put in my lens assembly here. Find the adjustment screw here that goes in here at infinity. The little pin here should sit something up. Yeah, we'll figure it out. It should sit like 16 aperture. So we could do so and fully close the aperture. Then put in the ring. So. And then put in the lens assembly. So the tiny pin here should go onto the to this fork. It will just come out this little brass ring. So now it's time to put it in. And then we are there. Turn it over, and then the pin for the fork and the pin for the aperture ring should come in there. It can be a little tricky, so it should be something like that. And now we are safe home. And then add the front ring. Just find the thread and simply screw it in. I will just loosen this screw and put in tighten the ring as much as possible to my mark up here. And there it is. Then tighten the screw, and then you can just put in the nameplate there, and use rubber number 4. And tighten it. Then add the front ring here on the focusing ring, and just tighten it as good. And then tighten the little set screw on the side there. So the only thing we need to do is to actually put the mount on, and then we are back on track. So the fork here goes onto this pin here. So should be something. Is that correct? Or is it not? Yeah. So, and then add the 5 screws around the mount. And then we have a lens with a much better and softer focusing system. And it's not that hard to actually do this. The thing you have to be aware of is where does the focusing helicoils come off the thread. I mean, the rest of it is just disassemble and then assemble again. I could have used a little bigger, bigger screwdriver, but I think it will be fine enough. So there. Oh, where did that screw went? Come on, little fellow. So. There. So now it's actually done. So, wow. And the aperture ring is also really good because there's no dirt and stuff in there. So it's really, really good. So now we actually have a great working lens. So that's fine. Now that was all for me in this case. So hope you enjoy the content and can use it in your lens. So that's all. Bye bye.